okay, having to work on work in a printing press, for example, you need to have some documents printed, and you need to run on generator to do that, and the deadline to turn it in is 5 p.m. Thursday today, and we start at 8 in the morning. Of course, it's going to take us about 6 hours to have it sorted. So we've devised a plan. Okay, let's 6 hours we should be done, and the generator decides not to work.
That can be a tricky one.
So it becomes it is important in the sense that we need to have these documents printed.
Obviously, and there's a client waiting at the end of that
and there's
time
someone
too,
waiting. Now it's become urgent too, because there is no generator working. So fixing that generator has become an urgent and important task. If I had fixed the if I had serviced the generator 2 weeks before today, it would have just been an important task and not urgent, because I'm just trying to fix it so it wouldn't distort. Yeah. So, but now it's become urgent and important, because now I need results. I need them now, and I need to fix the generator like there and then. So that's so in our businesses we need to identify such things and not being in such situations, and these things happen a lot. And if we don't devise a plan, we wouldn't be able to go around it as we expect. So, like I said, we also need to, our plans have to be smart in terms of they have to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic.
Both for the employer and the employee.
And yes.
Well, okay, let's talk about on the part of the employee now. If, as an employee, I'm coming to work on a Monday, do I have to, ahead of time, before I even get to my desk, okay, I know what my responsibilities are, I know what what is expected of me. So do I beforehand have a plan in my head, or written down might be a little extreme, but have a plan in my head and say, okay, as soon as I get to the office, this and this and this is what needs to get. Well, I have a host of things that I need to get done. Obviously, in terms of I have to prioritize. Do I need to come up with a plan in my head that says, okay, I need to prioritize this and this, I need to do this, and then if that doesn't take up the entire hours I have for that day, how do I properly plan? Okay,
thank you. It's a function of how we run our businesses. If we're working as a team, we need to come up with a team plan. This is what we expect to do. This is who does that. This is who does this. So one has an understanding of what has to be done. Then the team agrees on how we prioritize, what comes before what is more important than the other. So we come up, and it's very, very important that we write down these activities. Things slip through. And I've had a lot of business owners say, at the end of every day, they say, and we forgot to do this, and we said we set out to do this at the beginning of today, but it slipped. We should always write it out. In most cases, share it with people.
I guess when there are more people involved, it's probably easier because if you're working with a team, if somebody forgets something, the other party sometimes would remember, especially if there's 2, 3, 4, 6 of you. But I imagine it would probably be more difficult for an individual. I mean, it's just one of you, and there's only so much you can remember, and for the day. So, should an individual employee pay more attention, or how can one get around that in terms of ensuring that you cover, every ground, required in terms of meeting your targets for the day?
One key thing is having a to-do list.
Okay.
Yes, I think that should have come before prioritizing, because it's when you have a to-do list, be able to identify what comes before what in terms of prioritizing. As individuals, as business owners, we should invest in a notepad or a diary or an organizer. List out the key tasks for the day. Even tasks that are not very key, we should list out everything that we set out to do. And one can't identify all that he's going to do for the day at the beginning of the day. So we'll have to update the list as the day goes on. So we identify it, we have them written. It's very good that we write them down. So even working as a team or working as an individual, you have a list of the tasks that you've set out to do for the day. And it's very important that after each task is accomplished or sorted, one ticks it or crosses it out. So at the end of the day, you can pick up your to-do list and say, well, I've achieved 40% of all I set out to do today. I've achieved 80% of it. So it gives you a dashboard view of all that you've set out to do for the day. So it's very important that we have them written. It's not just good enough to have it at the top of our heads and we say, okay, I wouldn't forget this. We would forget, because so many things come up, so many interruptions come up, so many time-wasting activities come up in between. So
is it worse when one is on the road? Perhaps for a marketer or a salesperson, you go out, you leave the office and you go out, to town or something. You have targets, and you're going to certain places A, B, and C, and then perhaps there's DC and ever you're meant to touch, but you don't remember. So obviously, for such a person, putting things down would be more important.
It's very, and it's also during the plan when we're planning activities. It's also very good for us to group similar activities. I've spoken to employees, those that move around, and say, oh, I've been to this part of Lagos today. I was supposed to do 3 things, but I did only 2. I forgot I was supposed to do the 3rd one in that same area. So it's very important to group them together. Okay, I've set out to do 10 things. There are 3 similar activities in it. It has to do with doing something in a particular area. Why not just attend to those 3 and have them sorted at the same time? So it's very good for us to group similar activities together. It helps us save resources in terms of our time, monies, and all whatnot. It helps us.
And for businesses or business owners that you have come in contact with, especially the small ones, is there a particular mindset towards? I know I talked about this at the beginning, but I want to get a clear answer. Is there a particular mindset? Because all that we've talked about now, for some people might say, yes, these are things I do every day. If I forget, I forget. I can always do it tomorrow. But obviously, some of them do not realize how putting some things off to the following day or the following week can actually impact on their bottom line at the end of the day. So do you think if there's a mindset, is there a change? Is that mindset changing for the small business owners? And are there enough, do I call them, perhaps like Leap Africa now, that help change that mindset to say that, okay, yes, this is a difficult business environment. You need to look at other areas where you can improve your business, apart from the fact that you're facing this and that challenge. To improve on your business, improve on your bottom line, you need to take this seriously. So is that mindset there, or if it is it changing?
Yes, most times in our business programs, our business leadership program that we run for those that run SMEs, the mindset at the beginning of the program is usually, well, I can have my to-do list right in my head, or I don't even need a to-do list. I know all I'm set out to do. But then at the end of the program, when we have the exit survey, mindsets change, and people tend to realize how important it is for you to have a to-do list, for you to be a good time manager. And a lot of business owners don't even realize what controls their time or who controls their time. When you throw this question out, they say, oh, my staff need to do so many things, I need to manage them. I have a lot of family visitors coming to see me at work. I have so many things, the customers, the contractors, and we tell them they do not control your time. They could make demands on your time. I want to see you. It's left to you to say, I cannot see you now. So ultimately, we control our time.
Oh, we ought to control.
We ought to control individuals.
Yes,
we should be in charge of our time. People would always make demands for your time. Your phone will ring and want to demand for your time. It's left to you to pull out the battery and put it elsewhere.
But does a lot of that depend on, for the employee now, personal determination to not allow external factors to hinder the work that they're doing?
Yes, one needs to have it set out. Okay, these are my goals. These are the things I have set out to achieve today. This is the plan I've prioritized, and this is how long I have to sort out all these things. It's not left to you to eliminate all time wasters or all distractors. Okay. And there are so many. There are so many.
So how about identifying productive times? I know we talked about the whole peak thing. Going back to that, how can one identify productive times? If I'm an employee and I realize that I'm not effective or productive during certain hours, how can I maximize those hours, or how can I even identify them in the first place and then maximize them?
Okay. Some individuals may be able to identify their peak times, their
most productive.
They could identify themselves. But some individuals need people to help them. Some of us need there are a lot of surveys we could go through online that would tell you when you're best productive. And so it is very good for individuals to know, for business owners, for employees to understand when they are highly productive, and it's an individual thing. You should